how often do you and your team talk about why you do basic things that you do as part of your project workflow? For example, why does your team track or not track timelines for phases on your projects? In some architecture and engineering firms, timeline is simply a way for a project manager to communicate progress, either to a client or to the rest of the team. But if you can combine timeline information with other information that you know about your project, for example, where you're at in the progress of the budget, not just invoicing, but how much you've actually spent as hours and expenses are getting logged to the project. Or you can compare the timeline to how much scope has been completed on the project. Now you have powerful ways to communicate to your team and to the client where you're at in the progress, but better yet, you have ways to compare that progress from budget to timeline to scope to understand whether you're on track. If you're behind in the timeline, but you've delivered more scope and the budget looks okay, then things are probably fine. But on the other hand, if you're getting to the end of the timeline of a phase and very little budget has been spent, that might be a red flag. Maybe people aren't logging time that you expect of the project. Time to look at the scope and understand, have we delivered as much scope as we expect we would have by this point in the phase? And if you can break your timelines down into even more detail to understand that in this phase with this budget, we have these key milestones. And maybe each of those milestones has a set of tasks that we want to deliver. Now, in a single system that can join all of this information together, your Monday morning meeting makes it very easy to communicate without any extra overhead or time spent in planning or reporting to communicate to your team that you're either on track or that one of these numbers is slightly out of alignment. And you can put all your focus on how you're going to adjust and maybe get things back on track, or the help that you might need from the rest of the team, the additional resources you might need, or maybe the additional services that you need to talk to the client about. Why not focus on the fixes to these misalignments? Something you can't do if you don't have all that data in one place for comparison. At that point, it's much easier to communicate to your team members why you create timelines. Suddenly, the time that you spend updating that Gantt chart or indicating those milestones or updating your team on the percent complete isn't just a chore that you do because it's just what we do at our firm. It's now an important data point that can be compared with these other data points in whatever system you're using. And if you don't have a system that collects budget, timeline, and scope, maybe look at Factor. If you go to factorapp.com, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial or sign up for a free demo with one of our product specialists. We'd be happy to walk you through creating a project that you're working in your portfolio and show you how to align budget, timeline, and scope, particularly when you create resource plans to ensure that you're going to deliver all of the scope that you promised your clients on time and on budget. And if things get out of alignment, it's easy to consistently adjust in the same ways for each type of client and for each type of project and across different project managers as well. Check out factorapp.com, where timelines mean more than a simple communication of dates, and you can use them with budget and scope to create plans that actually deliver on time and on budget.